Hello everyone, I am Dr. Vishal Rajput from Himalayan School of Biosciences in Swami Rama Himalayan University, Dehradun, India. And today I am going to discuss about the nitrogen cycle. Well, nitrogen cycle is a circulation of nitrogen in a various forms through the nature. Nitrogen, a component of proteins as well as the nucleic acid, is essential to the life on Earth. Although 78% by volume of the atmosphere is nitrogen gas, and this abundant reservoir exists in the form of unusable by most organisms. Through a series of microbial transformation, however, nitrogen is made available to the plants, which in turn ultimately sustain in all life. Basically, 78% of ratio is shared by the or held by the nitrogen in the ecosystem, but this nitrogen is not usable in the form. Basically, it cannot be utilized by any animal or the plant, but it is in abundant and it is a most important part of the organism's body. So nitrogen cycle, the first responsibility of nitrogen cycle is to make available this particular inert nitrogen to the plants. Well, nitrogen is a key nutrient element for the plants. However, the abundant nitrogen in atmosphere cannot be used directly by plants or animals. Nitrogen cycles make usable nitrogen available to plants and other living organisms. So the first step of nitrogen cycle is to get that to convert that inert nitrogen in an active form which can be utilized by the plants as well as the organisms. Now further, nitrogen gas exists in both organic as well as the inorganic forms, and organic nitrogen exists in living organisms and they get passed through the food chain by consumption of other living organisms. Inorganic form of nitrogen are found in abundance in the atmosphere, which I have already mentioned in and the ratio is 78% in the atmosphere. This nitrogen is made available to plant by symbiotic bacteria. Basically, symbiotic relationship is about when two commodity or two part of the ecosystem are interacting each other and both are getting benefits. That means both components are getting benefit from each other. So here these type of bacteria, what they are doing, they are converting this inert nitrogen into the active form. So what they can do, they can convert the inert nitrogen into the usable form. Basically, they convert inert nitrogen into nitrites and the nitrate. Further, nitrogen undergo various types of transformation to maintain a balance in the ecosystem. Furthermore, this process extends to various biomes, with marine nitrogen cycle being one of the most complicated biogeochemical cycle present. Now, how it takes place? Now, basically the process of nitrogen cycle consists of multiple steps. Number 1, nitrogen fixation. Number 2, nitrification. Number 3, assimilation. Then ammonification and denitrification. So as you can see that nitrogen cycle is quite complex cycle and it contains multiple steps to finish one cycle. This is the pictorial representation or the explanation of nitrogen cycle. Here you can see two different type of the arrow showing a movement from one aspect to another aspect. Here the red ones are the movement of nitrogen because of the human activities, and the blue one or the darker one are the natural activities. They are taking place in the movement of the nitrogen from one biosphere to another biosphere. As I have mentioned in previous lectures, there must be one reservoir present in the aquatic condition as well as the atmosphere or in the lithosphere. Here you can see that there are two different type of reservoir are present in here. First one is atmospheric nitrogen, which is in the inert form, and second one is ammonium form in the lithosphere. So the whole movement or the whole exchange takes place between these two reservoirs, where atmospheric inert nitrogen is converting into the lithosphere or interacting with the lithospheric nitrogen. Here further there are multiple aspects or steps. You can see that atmospheric nitrogen is being converted or transferring into the lithospheric reservoir by nitrogen fixing bacteria present in the soil or nitrogen fixing bacteria present in the root nodules of the certain plants. These both process, what they are doing, they are capturing the inert nitrogen and they are transferring to the lithosphere. Further, thunder lightning, you must be knowing it and you must have been experienced that thunder lightning is a very quick process, but it has a very important role in the movement of the or conversion of the nitrogen. Whenever thunder lights strikes, what it does, it converts the inert nitrogen into the ammonia and transfer it to from atmosphere to lithosphere. Apart from that, volcanic activities are also adding a huge amount of nitrogen into the ecosystem, especially in the atmospheric reservoir. Further, what rain or the precipitation, what it does, it brings down the atmospheric nitrogen to the earth or add it into the lithosphere or into the soil, further which makes it available for the plant and they readily assimilate it. So what here are doing, volcanoes are adding the nitrogen with the help of the rain to the soil, and these plants, what they are doing, absorbing the nitrogen, and finally after death of the plants as well as the animal, what happens, the decomposition takes place and that particular nitrogen which has been stored in the body of the plant as well as the organism, it decomposes and converts it with the help of the bacteria and fungi, and this process known as the ammonification is adding to the lithospheric reservoir. Simultaneously, animals produce a huge amount of fecal material and they excrete a certain amount of the nitrogen which is also being absorbed by the soil and returned to the lithospheric reservoir. Now here in this particular section you can see that huge amount of nitrogen is being transferred from atmosphere to lithosphere. But here you can see there is one more cyclic way which is what it is doing, it is returning the lithospheric nitrogen back to the atmospheric nitrogen. So what is happening? A cycle is taking place, a cycle is moving. Here huge amount of nitrogen is coming from atmosphere to soil, and from here huge amount of nitrogen is returning from soil to atmosphere. Now as you can see here you can see this particular process is performed with the help of the nitrification, basically the microbes. What it does, that ammonia is converted into the nitrites and these nitrites are converted into the nitrates, and further with the help of the denitrification this whole nitrate return to the atmosphere. So this is how the movement of the nitrogen takes place in the environment from the atmosphere to lithosphere and lithosphere to atmosphere. Now further, first process is nitrogen fixation process. It is the initial step of nitrogen cycle. Here atmospheric nitrogen, which is primarily available in an inert form, is converted into usable form ammonia, NH3, and during the process of nitrogen fixation the inert form of nitrogen gas is deposited into soil from atmosphere to surface water, mainly through the precipitation. Later the nitrogen undergoes a set of changes in which two nitrogen atoms get separated and combined with hydrogen to form ammonia. The entire process of nitrogen fixation is completed by symbiotic bacteria majorly known as diazotrophs. Azotobacter and rhizobium also have a major role in this particular process, and these bacteria consist of nitrogenase enzyme which has a capability to combine gaseous nitrogen with hydrogen to form ammonia. Next is types of nitrogen fixation. Basically, there are multiple types of nitrogen fixation. Number one is atmospheric fixation, in which a natural phenomena where the energy of lightning breaks the nitrogen into the nitrogen oxide and then it is used by the plants, as I have already mentioned. Next is industrial nitrogen fixation. It is a man-made alternative that aids in nitrogen fixation by use of ammonia. Ammonia is produced by direct combination of nitrogen and hydrogen, and later it is converted into various fertilizers such as urea. Another type is biological nitrogen fixation. We already know that nitrogen is not usable directly from air for plants and animals. Bacteria like rhizobium and blue-green algae transform the unusable form of nitrogen into other compounds that are more readily usable. These nitrogen compounds get fixed in soil by these microbes and ultimately enters into the nitrogen cycle. Next is nitrification. In this process, the ammonia is converted into nitrate by the presence of bacteria in the soil. Nitrites are formed by oxidation of ammonia with the help of the nitrosomonas. And later the produced nitrites and are converted into nitrates by nitrobacter. This conversion is very important as ammonia gas is toxic for plants. So, because of this reaction, the toxicity reduces, and the reaction I have given in the slide. Next is assimilation. Primary producers, basically the plants, take in nitrogen compounds from the soil with the help of their roots, which are available in the form of the ammonia. Nitrite ions, nitrate ions or ammonium ions and are used in the formation of the plant and animal protein. This way it enters the food web when the primary consumers eat the plants. Next is ammonification. When plants or animal die, the nitrogen present in organic matter is released back into the soil. The decomposers, namely bacteria or fungi present in soil, convert the organic matter back into the ammonium. This process of decomposition produces ammonia, which further is used for the biological process. Most important, denitrification. In the denitrification process, in which the nitrogen compounds make their way back into the atmosphere by converting nitrates into the gaseous form of the nitrogen. This process of nitrogen cycle is the final stage and occur in the absence of the oxygen because it is performed by the microorganisms. Denitrification is carried out by denitrifying bacterial species such as Clostridium and Pseudomonas, which will process nitrate to gain oxygen and gives out free nitrogen gas as the byproduct. So, here you can see that this is the return of the nitrogen to the atmospheric reservoir. Now, the role of the nitrogen cycle, how the nitrogen cycle is important for the survival of biodiversity. Basically, it helps in converting inert nitrogen gas into the usable form of the plant for the plant through the biochemical process. In the process of ammonification, the bacteria helps in decomposing the animal and plant matter, which indirectly help to clean up the environment. Nitrates and nitrites are released into the soil, which helps in enriching the soil with the necessary nutrient required for cultivation. Nitrogen is an integral component of the cell and it forms many crucial compounds and important biomolecules. These processes increase the level of nitrogen containing compounds in the atmosphere. Thank you.